Hey everyone.
Welcome to Big Flick Energy. So, I've been planning on starting this account for a while now, but the hype around who is behind Loki finally pushed me to go through with it. So, here we are. Loki's been going on for 5 weeks now, and the speculation of who's behind everything is the biggest since, well, WandaVision? Which I know isn't that impressive, but we never got a reveal after finding out.
It's been Agatha all along.
The hype is still pretty big, since unlike WandaVision, where we already had a set main antagonist in Agatha before the final episode, in Loki we only know of Ravonna Renslayer right now, who is more like a Tyler Hayward than she is an Agatha for this show. I'm very excited to show all of you the 4 characters I think can be the big bad, and have one that nobody has brought up at all. But it's personally my favorite prediction, and would be the ballsiest move Marvel has made in a long
2 hours later.
Time. So, let's get to the predictions. For prediction number 1,
Loki.
So when I say Loki, I don't mean the OG Loki, nor the 2012 Loki, nor Sylvie. I mean some other Loki we haven't met yet, or maybe one of the Lokis that we saw in the Void. Everything about this show is Loki, 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 so it really makes sense for it to be Loki. We also know 2012 Loki wanted to take over TVA, and the other Lokis did also besides Sylvie, so it's possible there is one Loki that did take it over. We know Loki's love line, like this show has told us multiple times, so it would make sense for an organization that has lied to everyone to be led by a Loki. Lastly, Loki would want to remove any threats to his power, and I'm sure he recognizes the greatest threat would be other Lokis. This could explain why it seems like the TVA picks on Loki as the cause of this alternate reality instead of just blaming Avengers for stealing the stones, and why Lokis are so much more likely to be the cause of variant timelines, because they are the biggest threats to current Loki's power, and this current Loki doesn't want any other Lokis around. We also know from the trailers that Loki will sit on his throne before the end of the show. So it's possible they pull another President Loki on us, where it's not the Loki we've been following in the show, but instead another one. What if it's the Loki from the timeline where Thanos came to our timeline to get his stones, and now that timeline had no more Thanos, but instead just a Loki with a Tesseract that we never got to see his story be completed. The other people that it could be is, I know we saw him die, but classic Loki. So classic Loki, he's been known as the master of illusion, and nobody can make illusions like him. So it would be pretty interesting to see him be the final antagonist. Or maybe it could be Kid Loki that we saw, but actually him in the future. And these are all just guesses, but I could definitely see a Loki being the main villain of the show. For prediction number 2,
Ultron.
Ultron is a character that never really dies in the comics because he lives online. You can't cancel the whole internet, but that's one of the very few ways you could actually get rid of Ultron for good. It seems random for Ultron to come in the show, but once you remember one of the top theories for who is behind everything is Miss Minutes, it starts to make some more sense. Miss Minutes is the artificial intelligence used in the TVA. We've had our fair share of AI in the MCU, with Ultron, Jarvis, Supreme Intelligence, Friday, Edith, Karen, Griot, Zola, and most recently, Sharon in Avengers Campus, which I actually already have a video in the works for, to discuss how Avengers Campus will add to the MCU. Miss Minutes is the newest to add to this list. Or is she? It is possible Miss Minutes is just a shell of what's truly inside, Ultron. This could explain why robots aren't allowed in the TVA, and can explain why the leader of everything wants order. Ultron's purpose was peace, so perhaps he believes he can accomplish this by killing off all other timelines to just have one sacred timeline that will never have a Nexus war. This could also explain why the Timekeepers were androids and could have conversations. They probably had AI in them, or maybe even being controlled by a higher power, like Ultron. Tara Strong, the voice actor for Miss Minutes, also did tease a larger role for her in the show. Having Miss Minutes be the main villain, at least to me, would be pretty boring and basic, unless if there is some backstory to her character, which could lead to Ultron's return. Now, the prediction everyone is saying is behind everything, and I'm sorry to bring this up, but it's Kang the Conqueror. For those of you that have stayed off TikTok, YouTube, Instagram, Twitter, Reddit, and basically all technology besides Disney Plus for the last month, Kang is the favorite to be the main antagonist. First off, it's the most comic accurate option. Ravonna Renslayer, that despicable judge of the TVA, is Kang's girlfriend in the comics. In the show, it doesn't seem like she knows who's behind everything, but you never know, and this could always be the beginning of their story. Also, Alioth is basically the guard dog of Kang's castle Limbo in the comics, which basically resides beyond time itself. Not only was Alioth the main antagonist of episode 5, but once he was taken down, we got a glimpse at a castle he was guarding. We also saw a Kang building in the void. Kang Industries was owned by Kang and was the company in the comics that bought the Avengers Tower. And we already know that Tony Stark is selling the Avengers Tower. In episode 5, you can tell the Kang building is the Avengers Tower, just with some rebranding and kind of destroyed. So yes, Kang is the most comic accurate antagonist. But you know who else was the most comic accurate antagonist? Mephisto.
Oh shit, here we go again.
I mean, this guy created the twins in the comics, was sometimes portrayed as a fly, and Agatha had a pet rabbit named Senor Scratchy like Mr. Scratch, the nickname of the devil who Mephisto takes a lot of influence from, among many other things. So, don't take comic accuracy as a surefire call for who's behind everything, because this is the Marvel Cinematic Universe, not the Marvel comic universe. Besides comic accuracy, though, his role would make sense given his main thing being time traveling and conquering, and the show Loki right now is trying to find whoever runs a time traveling organization that has so much power it can erase other timelines. It makes perfect sense, especially with the casting of Jonathan Majors as Kang being announced almost a year ago for Ant-Man 3. So Kang is a major possibility, and I'm excited to see how this could tie into Ant-Man and the Wasp Quantumania. But we'll just have to wait until 2023 to find out. Last, and certainly not least,
Wanda.
Okay, so this is actually my favorite theory, because I think it'll tie in the best with Multiverse of Madness, which Loki and Wanda are both in. And it's also a theory I haven't heard anybody else bring up. Last time we saw a massive group of people that lost free will because they forgot of their past life was in WandaVision, where the town was forced to play roles similar to how TVA agents are forced to play these roles. Also, the old school vibe of the TVA feels like something Wanda would do, given we already know she has an obsession with old sitcoms. That Alioth monster felt like something she would be able to conjure up with dark magic, given it has the same color as Agatha's magic. And with Wanda using the Darkhold, it could potentially cause this. But the eyes and the mouth were red like Wanda's magic, so that's a possibility. Also, remember Wanda is a Nexus being, and in this show we were told about a Nexus event that caused the creation of the TVA. Agatha also said it's Wanda's destiny to destroy the world, so they have to do this plot point before people forget, and using time travel is a strategic way of doing this. We also know Wanda is searching for her son at the end of WandaVision. So what if this future Wanda that has already mastered the magic in that Darkhold creates this sacred timeline that will eventually lead to her children being born and living a happy life? We also know that the TVA has some insanely powerful weapons and abilities that don't make sense only explained through tech. There needs to be more to the stones not working and to Alioth. Last point is more just speculation, but the castle we saw at the end of episode 5 had the same form as Wanda's cabin but much larger. Had the chimney and dark paint job, and for some reason it reminded me of her cabin. I don't think it's today's Wanda, but instead a future Wanda that mastered the Darkhold and fears destroying the world or is looking for her children, and this is how Doctor Strange 2 can include both Loki and Wanda. Now, I know I said there were only 4, but now that I think it over again while making this video, there is one more character that could be behind everything. Croaky. It's just a joke, but imagine how hilarious it would be to see fans riot because they pull another Ralph Boner. So just in case, I'll bet $25 on this happening. Thanks everyone for watching, and I'm really excited to show you all the content I have planned for this channel. Please like and subscribe. If I can double my followers from today to tomorrow, that would be great. Shouldn't be too hard since I have 0 followers. But thank you for watching, and see you next time on Big Flick Energy.